Hi everyone, Luis from World Sketching Tour here. I want to show you my recent sketchbook that it's almost finished, and I will send it home. I will use a new sketchbook on my world tour in Africa, and I wanted to share with you all the sketches that I did in Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore during these dates. It took me almost 2 weeks, not even, to finish all this sketchbook that I will show you. But first, this is a Afi Sketchbook made in Indonesia. It was given to me from a fellow urban sketcher, Donald. He's from Jakarta, Indonesia. And right in the beginning, you can see one of the sketches from Nugraha. He's also an urban sketcher. Donald gave me this book and I started to use it immediately. Okay, on the first page, I met a person, a friend of Anisa, and I decided to sketch. Why we met him, it's because Anisa listened his podcasts. We had a good time talking together. This was a bag that Caliber did for me. I ended up not using it because it was too big, so I gave it away. But it has many compartments that I ask what would be ideal to have on a daily backpacking to travel and sketch around. But again, I didn't, and now I have a new one that I also sketch in here. This is the guy, Donald, that gave me the book. This was our last day in Jakarta. He went with me to the airport. He actually brought me there on his car. And we did a typical battle sketch. He was sketching me and I sketched him. And then this was the view right on my left side. I could see the old airport. This is the bag that I'm using now. For the ones who don't know about Caliber, it's an Indonesian brand. Most of their focus is in backpacking and bags. They have a very good quality on these bags. I really tested myself. We went to the factory to see how they produce them. And of course, as you probably know, they support our trip right now. So this is the bag that I'm using right now. This has the perfect size to put my watercolors, pencils, brushes. It just carries everything right handy. Then we went finally we took the flight to Malaysia. That was our New Year's. It was in Malaysia. And this was our first breakfast. It's Indian food with some roti, egg and onions, coffee with milk, and then this was the sauce that I didn't really took because it was too spicy. So we were staying around here, and this is the subway in Malaysia that brings us to the city. And we normally off around here. This is the central area, and also we went to the Batu Caves. In here I was sketching the food court where people normally hang out and read, eat, do everything together. Then we went to this Hindu temple, I'm sorry. Suddenly around 5, this guy started to come. There was one guy here playing the trumpet, and one guy on my left side playing the drum. And it was, for me, it's always like this hypnotizing sound that I do enjoy a lot, to just sit down and sketch. Of course, in the end, one of the guys came and talked to me and asked me what I was doing and if he could take a photo. And it was a fun moment out of the main touristic areas in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. This is the typical night sketch. I did it in the night. This is the last night of the year. Then the new year, this is a little bit what I wrote of my resolutions for the next year, what I wish that happened for my next year, things I want to improve, things that I want to also continue doing it, and a transition of accomplish the Africa tour. Then we went to Batu Caves. This was the statue, one of the statues, of course, that we saw. This is the main entrance. I only put pencil. I didn't finish with color. Then we went to another temple in Kuala Lumpur. I was here in 2015, but I didn't had time to sketch it because we just passed here during the night. So there you go. Now I have the sketch. Then we left Kuala Lumpur on the way to take the bus to the bus station in Kuala Lumpur, and then from there we took the bus to Malacca. In Malacca, the first thing I saw was these rickshaws, bicycle rickshaws, and I did this quick sketch, afraid that the owner would come and I couldn't finish it, so I had to be really quick, and the colors are not so expressive because I couldn't finish. The guy came and he left, and I just did what I could. This is a typical food, Hainanese food from Haiwan, somewhere in China. It's like rice balls, and then this is the chicken, also boiled, and vegetables boiled. It's very simple but tasty and very cheap as well. You should try if you go there. This is one of the most photographed corners in Malacca. It's a cafe, very well known. The name is Geographer. Normally people sing inside, which very good music. I enjoyed this place. So I'm on the other side of the street here. There is some cars in here, but I tried to look out and I didn't put the cars. Malaysia, it's also very warm and humid country, so it's not so easy to sketch outside because you get really sticky after a while. And I remember when we were here, the weather was pretty much humid, and sometimes it rained. And this sketch I did it right before it rained. I didn't sketch this when I was the first time there, so I decided to go for things that I haven't sketched in Malacca. So it's also more interesting if you repeat the place that you don't want to sketch. Same as with this mosque. I didn't knew the first time this mosque exists, and then when I was there for the second time, Anisa told me to go see this place, and it's an amazing place to sketch. It's very beautiful because it's all on top of the water, and then here it's like the seashore, and it's just beautiful to see the sunset here. That's what we did around 6. We went to see the sunset, and then I sketched it. Very nice place. Then we went to Singapore, and of course Tony Shua is one of the urban sketchers in Singapore, probably the most sketcher guy in Singapore. He loves to always go out and sketch with me every time I go there. Invite Anise and I to his place, so it was pretty nice to hang out and sketch. Again, here I'm sketching with him. This is the main Chinatown area. I don't quite know, it's like Pagoda Road, probably if you're from Singapore you know. What I love most about these roads in Singapore, it's so traditional, colonized style from the old British moments, and the palm trees, and then you have the modern architecture behind, which makes it super interesting to sketch. You probably need a lot of time to sketch Singapore because there's so many details that you could spend a lot of time sketching there. I was there with Alina too, sketching these buildings. I was with Tony and Alina, and then of course we did another battle sketch, me and Alina. Then we left her, she had to go home, and we continue our walking, traveling and sketching, and we did I saw this statue while it was pouring rain outside. We just sheltered ourselves, and I did this guy, which is a controversial statue in Singapore, right in front of a restaurant. Some people like it, some people don't like it. It's quite disturbing. Next day, it's still in Singapore. We went with Tony and Anisa to have the typical roti kaya, which is bread with some sweet inside. Also the soft boiled eggs, it's very typical in Singapore. We didn't have it. I decided to have just egg and cheese on bread, Indian food. And then here's the curry sauce that I didn't took, of course, because I don't like spicy food. And then the coffee. Then next to Tony's place, there was this interesting Chinese temple, and we went to sketch it. Then by the last day we met Don Lowe, which is another urban sketcher that I quite admire, and it's been inspiring all the time for me, one of my reference for sketching. and it was another time to do a battle sketch. I think I've sketched him already 2 or 3 times, and it's never enough. Then we took our flights to Africa on Ethiopia Airlines. It was quite a long journey of 9 hours one flight, and then I had to take another flight for more 5 hours. So this was done by the night. I was very tired. Just the simple lines and show off the place. And this was like the last sketch that I did. A bit of introspection writing I wrote about these 3 countries that I spent. It's all Portuguese, by the way, and this sketch was done by a photo. I shared this sketch recently, and then I did this sketch already here in Windhoek. It's a building right next to the church that I already sketched the last time, so I decided, okay, I'm not going to sketch again the church. I will do this sketch of this. I think it's a museum or something. I'm not quite sure, but it's quite iconic here in Windhoek. If you come here, you will see it for sure. And that's almost it. I still have 2 pages. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but this is the book. I use a pencil and watercolor most of the time, and I use the big pen that you saw in the other book. I do the brush. I use the water brushes, and I use mostly the normal brushes too. Well, outside of the book, I put my flight ticket, my flight stripe that I put on the bags. Here, the same thing. This is a sticker of Alina, one of the urban sketchers from Russia, but living in Singapore at the moment. And that's pretty much it. That's my last book of sketching.